possible. And I welcome you, Stacy Bowler, to Mind Bloom.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
Yes, I have been counting the days, the hours, the minutes to have you on. I have been a big fan of yours since I started my account, well, 2 months ago, so I can't say like years ago, but as soon as I ran into you on Instagram, I've been sold, and I've been a great, a follower in the literal sense, as in, what is she doing now?
Well, thank you. That makes me feel good that I have an impact.
Of course. Yes, you do. And it's interesting how we support each other even off the feed, like on our just texts, we will send each other like, how are you doing? How are you holding up?
Right.
Because it's not easy, and it hasn't been easy in this country for any of us the last at least 4 months.
Right.
And so it's really great to see this empathy and this support from across the country, from one coast to the other even.
Right.
Yeah. So I thank you so much for always, letting me in, as in I'm always like posting and commenting and sending you stories like, Stacy, please look at me.
Yeah.
And I thank you that you welcome
I
me
enjoyed them.
always. Of course, yeah. And that's what I love about you. Absolutely. You're always so open, and you're always open about your mental health as well, which is what brings you here today. And which is also what made me absolute certain that I wanted to bring you on. It was one Saturday morning, correct me, I think it's on Saturdays that you do your lives, Saturday mornings for me. And and I jumped in on one, and you were just so open and raw and honest about and that's not easy. Yeah, I see you like, I know it's not easy at all to go live on a Saturday morning. Maybe you've had your coffee already, but even so, I saw a description with which I resonated, and I saw a description of a huge struggle, but with a good ending, right? We're getting there. We're out of it even, and you'll tell us more about that. And the minute I saw that, I was like, okay, I liked her already. Like, she had me at hello. But this was just incredible. So here you are. Thank you so much for entertaining me.
Yeah, you're welcome. Like I said, I'm so happy that I'm touching lives. That was my whole idea behind starting the platform, was that, people would know they weren't alone.
Oh, so. Yes, absolutely. So before we get into the nitty-gritty of things, Stacy, what makes your mind bloom?
I really had to think on this, because I think there are so many things that can help us blossom and grow. But my number one that I kept going back to that resonated with me is gratitude. The more we express gratitude for everything we have, the more love we feel for life. And I think that when we can feel love for life, no matter if it's just the fact that you loved seeing that flower bloom for the day, or the fact that the sun rose, it gives us hope. And that is what really, I think, pushes people forward, is that there's hope. Without hope, we would diminish internally. And so I think gratitude is number one. Obviously, living a healthy lifestyle has become extremely important to me. And just, I'm a foodie by nature. And so it seemed natural that I would start with food and switching over how we ate. And not that we are perfect by any means. I have a history of food binging. And so that's something that I talk about with my mental health. But the things that are helping me to bloom are self-development and just a healthier lifestyle overall. So
yeah, that's beautiful. And gratitude is that powerful, right? That we can stop
It is.
for 1 minute a day and just look at, yes, this bloom, or the skies, the sun setting or the sun rising. No,
Mhm.
and I have been so grateful in the past 2 months also for meeting wonderful people. It's incredible how you open a little window of gratitude and of love and proximity, connection, and all of a sudden it's a stream, it's a flow of love
Right.
coming your way.
Yeah,
um
absolutely.
so yes, we're definitely on the same page in terms of that gratitude. And it is, talking about mental health, it is so therapeutic,
Mhm.
isn't it? Yeah. I
It really.
remember, yeah. In therapy, in the very beginning, I remember I was being told to write down 3 things you're grateful for. And I'm a terrible student in that sense. I resisted CBT for a long time. And I was like, why does she want me to write 3 things that I'm grateful for? And then, after doing it for a while, I was like, I'm starting to see the point. It's not
There's a
so much,
connection.
yeah. It is about you stopping and silencing all the
Mhm.
voices around you and just focusing on what's good in your
Yeah, for
life.
sure.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. So tell us, Stacy, you have your Instagram account that is like the title itself is about anxiety. Anxiety warrior, is it?
Yes,
Yes.
anxiety warrior.
So you definitely don't hide it. It's not like a little secret between, no, it's out there. Absolutely. And that's
Yeah,
what drove me to you. So tell
yeah.
us a little bit more about your journey and where this anxiety warrior comes from.
So really, because I am just real and raw, I'm just going to back up to when I had my first anxiety attack, and I didn't know what it was. It was undiagnosed for a lot of years. But I went through a very difficult divorce, and I had never felt unease before. And so, of course, when your hands get clammy and it feels like the rooms are shutting in on you and you can't breathe, you don't know what's going on. And I basically became an extreme hermit and introvert because I couldn't figure out how to cope when I would have those emotions. And it wasn't until just 3 years ago I started seeing a therapist. We had something tragic happen in our family, and it was very, very important that we had therapy for it. And that is what opened my eyes to really what I was experiencing, and that all of those times that I was having those emotions, that they were actually anxiety attacks and things that caused me to be afraid and to shut down. And I think we don't always, it wasn't something in my younger generation that we talked about. Mental health is so open now. And
Mm.
I really share this with my kids, let's talk about it. Let's be good communicators, because when we're communicating about how we are processing an emotion or how we're feeling, we can deal with it. I'm great at just stockpiling them all in my head because I never knew what to do with them. And then I just have this explosion of emotion that then again I don't know what to do with. And that is where my binge eating came in, and different things that I was figuring out, like unhealthy ways of coping
Right.
with the way I was feeling. And so then in 2018, after seeing the therapist, I decided I wanted to change the way we were eating. I felt like if I could change the way we were eating, we would start feeling better. My husband now, he also deals with anxiety. So there is no bigger why or better drive than trying to support a loved one when you're trying to figure things out. And so we are just hand in hand, front and back of a coin. We deal with anxiety. And I feel like we have become warriors because we have gone through a lot of stuff, and we've had to do it just with each other as coping mechanisms. And so that's really how I got to where I was. And then it was in just last October, the fall, that I really hit a low again, and I wasn't sure what was going on. And I didn't go back to therapy. Instead, I turned to self-development,
Okay.
and just did a lot of taking what the therapist had taught me and combining it with self-development to really push through all of the junk that I had stored. And then just really zeroing in again on healthy eating, that Johns Hopkins, I can never say that right. Their study between gut health and mental health now are linked. And that has just become so powerful to me, in that getting all of those good vitamins and minerals and pre and probiotics are so important to how we feel. And that's really what has, for me, I think really peeled off those layers, because I've been able to deal with them emotionally, as well as physically and internally. So that is just kind of my journey in a really little nutshell.
I know, because we can only show the top of the iceberg. No one ever really understands what's going on inside. I know, I understand that. Yeah.
Right.
Even though talking and even though letting others know that they're not alone, like you were saying in the beginning, is powerful, because we won't share the same, symptoms, or the same anxiety won't show the same way. But if I know that you have fought it, you have won over anxiety, or at least you try every day, then I will feel that I have, a friend in this journey. It's not, and if this community just multiplies and multiplies and multiplies, then we'll all feel, blessed for having a community, really. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And the stigma just needs to end.
Yeah, it really does, because it doesn't mean that something is wrong with you. And and that you can just get over it. I think that's the most difficult part, is when people are like, well, just get over it. Stop worrying. It's not that simple. No. It's very difficult to tell somebody that has anxiety to stop worrying. Because for me, if for example, if I had told you no, I don't want to do this, then I would have, as somebody with anxiety, I would have worried and replayed scenarios and different ways the conversation could have gone or would have gone about 100 times until I made myself sick. Because that's what anxiety does. It causes you to think the worst case scenarios, to create fear that doesn't exist. Not truly exist, but in our minds it exists, and then you just start closing in and shutting down because you don't want to face that. But people with anxiety can appear to be very perfect, have everything together. It's behind the scenes that that you're not seeing, that they really can't comprehend what's going on within themselves. So, I like to just say I'm here to listen, because sometimes that's all it takes is just a sounding board to help you process the emotions that you're feeling.
Yeah.